Good evening.
Good evening,
What is your name?
Antoinette.
Antoinette, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Antoinette, welcome to the Dear Someone Project.
Thank you for having me.
To your right hand side, you're going to see a yellow envelope that says Dear Someone. Inside that envelope is a story about someone's life full of struggles, hard times. It's a journey of triumph and redemption. If you could please open the envelope and read it to the camera, and feel free to take your time.
Dear someone, I am a 62-year-old mother of four, and the narrative of my life is deeply intertwined with a history marked by trauma that began when I was merely 7 years old. My early encounters with love were distorted and confusing. They began with my older brother, who, in his need for companionship, asked things of me that I felt compelled to fulfill. At that tender age, I genuinely believed that through these acts, I was expressing love. However, this initial misunderstanding laid the groundwork for subsequent experience that blurred the lines between affection, obligation, and exploitation. When I reached the age of 12, a cousin moved in and began abusing me. This realization was devastating. I internalized the pain and confusion, concluded that perhaps this was the true nature of love, deciding that my worth was predicated on my ability to please others through whatever means necessary. Growing up in a household engulfed in turmoil blurred my perception of love. This environment was rife with chaos. My parents constantly fought, fueled by my father's alcoholism, his aggression, and manifested in terrifying moments of violence aimed at my mother and by extension at us. I vividly recall instances where he would unleash his frustration on my siblings and me with whatever he could find, his fists, belts, or even household objects. It became a recurring nightmare, one that we learned to anticipate and sadly to accept as normal. In those harrowing moments when I tried to stand up for my cousin or siblings, I was met with dismissal and increased punishment. My mother often downplayed the severity of my father's action, insisting that I was imagining things and labeling my cries for help as lies. This denial not only deepened my suffering, but also instilled a profound sense of isolation. I felt I had no one to turn to if the person who was supposed to protect me treated me this way. The cycle of violence created by my parents' relationship conditioned me to equate love with conflict and pain. On Sunday, my father would buy my mother flowers, and their dynamic returned to a facade of normalcy. This confusing cycle trained my mind to view love as an This confusing cycle trained my mind to view love between affection and brutality, reinforcing the idea that all relationship were fought with turmoil. At one point, trying to assert control over my own narrative, I attempt to take my life at the age of 15, overwhelmed by despair. My experience in the psychiatric ward was a mixed blessing. While I found My experience in the psychiatric ward was a mixed blessing. While I found While I found peace among others who shared their struggles, the return to my chaotic home life was suffocating. That glimpse of a supportive, understanding environment sparked hope in me, making the daily struggle at home even harder to bear. As I transitioned into adulthood, I unknowingly perpetrated the same cycle of dysfunction. I married young, believing that having a family would provide the love and stability I'd longed for. Instead, my marriage echoed the abusive patterns I had experienced in my childhood. I found myself living with a husband who mirrored my father's behavior, cheating, fighting, and exerting control over me. It felt like a generational curse, one that I desperately wanted to break for my children. Perhaps at that time, I believed that love was intricately linked to suffering and that this was the only way to forge connection with others. After several years of enduring this painful existence, I made the decision to divorce. I wanted more for my children than what I had known. The road of freedom, however, came with its own set of challenges. Adapting to single motherhood while griping with feelings of worthlessness was daunting. I turned to unhealthy relationship and temporarily escaped through drugs and alcohol, feeling that they were my only means of coping. Despite the darkness, fate eventually became a beacon of hope in my life. When I fled my abusive marriage and discovered the trauma my son had faced at the hand of his father, an indescribable hurt surged within me. I had always hoped to shield my children from suffering, and the realization that my son had been drawn into the same cycle of abuse devastated me. It was this heart-wrenching moment that pushed me to seek help. My journey led me to a family promise, an organization that became instrumental in our healing process. They provided guidance and resources that helped both my son and me to build our lives and develop a sense of self-worth that I had long forgotten. With their support, I learned to budget, save, and set achievable goals, both as a mother and for myself. Family Promised not only offered practical assistance, but also fostered a community of support that encouraged healing. I witnessed the positive changes in my son as he entered counseling and participated in programs that allow him to express himself freely. He grew stronger and more confident. The prospect of a hopeful future became materialized before us. Today, my son is thriving. He has graduated, and we are diligently working towards purchasing our first home together. Though we still face challenges, including rising living costs, my determination to build a stable environment for my family has never been stronger. I strive daily to break free from the grip of a poverty mentality and create a nurturing home where love is a source of joy rather than pain. Thank you for taking the time to read my story. I hope it serves as a testimony to resilience, inspiring others who may find themselves in similar circumstances to seek help and believe in their worth. Everyone deserves a life free from fear and full of love. Sincerely, someone. P.S. Would you be my voice? It was very difficult to read.
What thoughts or feelings are you processing after reading this letter?
Similar experience. Similar experience in my childhood.
Is this the reason why it was so difficult to read for you?
Yeah. But I'm happy I was able to read it.
if the writer was here, what would you like to tell her and her son?
To keep going, keep moving forward, and better days are ahead.
Antoinette, how do you think you can be this person's voice?
By doing what I did today. I'm happy that they took a stand to help, a family. And it's just one family at a time, You never know how you make a difference by just walking in what God has called you to walk into, and by them even helping is just being a voice. Hi, my name is Antoinette, and I will be your voice.